Hey, what's up? Brandon from Red State here. Today I wanted to talk about something a little near and dear to my heart, and that is the rejection of woke culture in our entertainment. And you're seeing it happen right now. You're seeing a lot of shows try to rely on messaging, inject politics into entertainment, and people are turning away. They're not showing up to watch at all. And I kind of wanted to give you a few examples of how this is happening and some admission from a Hollywood legend that yes, message first entertainment is not good entertainment. In fact, it's not entertainment at all. So let's go ahead and dive into this. I wanted to show you this first. You had She-Hulk release during the mid part of August, or later part of August, I'm sorry. And the Nielsen ratings came in later on, and it shows you that it did not even make the top 10 as far as streaming downloads went. Not even made the top 10. It's primarily owned almost all by Netflix, with Prime Video in there with The League of Their Own, and Hulu with Only Murders in the Building. Why is that? Well, there's a lot of reasons as to why. She-Hulk was basically woke garbage. It is absolutely woke garbage. It seems to be written by wine moms who are very bitter about their last divorce or last relationship. The entire message of the show seems to be that men are garbage. It is a nonstop nonsense fest with women just kind of acting selfishly, weirdly, saying and doing things that just really seem to be scratching the back of the writers. The head writer, I swear she is really putting herself into the shoes of Jen Walters, who is the main character who plays She-Hulk. The first entire episode was blown up because the main character decided to tell Bruce Banner, the Hulk, that her life was more difficult than his, which made absolutely no sense. And for those of you who are ever following the MCU, you see all the stuff that Bruce Banner had to go through. I mean, just soul-destroying stuff. And yet, Jen Walters, the main character, seems to have a much harder time. Why? Because she's a woman. Well, that's not going to make a lot of people want to watch the show. If your show is based off of feminism, extreme feminism, and it's nothing but male bashing, well then, what's the point of watching it? You're introducing modern political sentiment into a TV show, and that's not why people wanted to click on TV shows like She-Hulk. Superheroes are for escapism. Okay? If you introduce modern politics, then guess what? You're no longer escaping to the world, away from the world. What you're doing is you're being preached at from a place you went to get away from it all. It's a very good way to get people to turn away because it stops being a story, it stops being entertainment, it becomes propaganda. And no one wants to sit there and watch propaganda. They don't want to be preached at least not when they're going to get away from it all. That's one of the reasons it's failing. But there is another reason, and I'll show you that reason here in a second. But first, I also want to show you this part. This is from Forbes. Metrics indicate House of the Dragon interest is near double the Rings of Power. Now, the Rings of Power from Amazon is also facing a lot of trouble. It was being review bombed pretty badly, but deservedly. And it seems that not a lot of interest is being shown toward the show, which is really bad news for Amazon, seeing as how they spent around $1 billion to create this show. And yet, despite that, it's being outclassed by House of the Dragon on HBO Max. And you can kind of see it in this little graph here. Now, this isn't amount of views. This is the amount of interest being expressed on the internet for a certain show. And this could be good or bad. House of the Dragon, clearly number one. All right. And then down here, at nearly half of that, is Lord of the Rings of Power. This is how much people are wanting to search for it, look for it, talk about it. It's not necessarily view it, but you kind of get a gauge of how interested people are in this. Now, the interesting thing is that no one's wanting to release metrics about how many people are actually watching the Rings of Power. They're being really cagey about it, which also does not say anything good for the Rings of Power. And if you watch the Rings of Power, it suffers from a lot of the same problems that many woke shows have nowadays. It is all feminism. It's keeping men down to make the woman look better. Galadriel, or Guy Ladriel, as she's called in some circles, is this badass warrior who, is just better than everyone else around her. And it's kind of silly to watch and look at. It really is. Whenever you have that kind of story writing, there's no character development. Mary Sues do not have any character development. They're perfect from the beginning. They're perfecter by the end. There's nothing there. There's nothing there to watch. And so people are getting bored. It's a beautiful show. The CGI is well done. But other than that, there's no story there. And that's the issue. The same thing happening to Lord of the Rings is the same thing happening to She-Hulk. Many woke programs have this problem. Nothing is happening. It's not just the politics. There's no story there. Whenever you put the message first, you're going to leave story behind. Whenever you put narrative, and not political narrative, modern political narrative first, you're going to leave character development behind. You have to follow specific rules if you are creating propaganda, and that is what this has become. It is propaganda. You can't break out of those rules. The Bechdel test has to be passed. White people, there can't be an evil person of color. White people have to be the bad guy, and they have to take a back seat. You know what I'm saying? There are certain things that have to happen within woke television shows that make it too predictable, something that no one wants to watch. So, with that, you have to understand that whenever you introduce this level of politics, story gets sacrificed, people tune out. It's that simple. It's that simple. And there was a Hollywood legend that kind of said that. This is up at redstate.com. By the way, go to redstate.com and sign up for the VIP program. Use promo code SAVEAmerica. It's right there on the screen. And there'll also be a link in the description. You go in there, 40% saved by using promo code SAVEAmerica. Trust me, there's going to be a lot of stuff coming down the line. There's already a lot of stuff there now behind the paywall that you don't get on the front page. Promo code SAVEAmerica. Link in the description. Trust me, you won't regret it. This is a Hollywood legend. He's directed a lot of stuff, won a lot of awards, and yet he understood after a while. He made a couple of films that did have too much messaging in it. His name is Joe Bob. He's responsible for some really great work. I'm sorry. Roger Corman. Excuse me. Roger Corman. He's made a lot of really great stuff. And he said this during an interview that has something to do with this very thing. He said, Joe Bob was interviewing him and said, well, you're a well-known Hollywood liberal. You always put social justice causes into your movies. You made a passion project in 1962 called The Intruder, starring William Shatner, about racism in the rural South. An award-winning movie that you once told me was the only movie you ever made that lost money. And that became a turning point in your career. Corman responded with this. Yes, it was the only film at the time that I ever made that lost money. And the reason was, I believe, although the film did win a couple of awards and the reviews were wonderful, it lost money. And I think it lost money for two reasons. One, the public just didn't want to see a picture about racial integration. And two, and this is where my lesson came in, I was too earnest. I was delivering a message. I was not delivering entertainment. So you have it from the mouth of a Hollywood legend himself. Whenever you put the message first, you leave entertainment behind. Message first entertainment is not entertainment at all. Message first filmmaking is going to be pure propaganda, pure preaching. No one wants to see that. They're going to turn away and go find something else better to do. If they are looking to get away from the world for a little bit, the last thing they want to do is have you show up with your placard and your soapbox talking about how men are evil, or white people are racist, or rich people are all awful, or all cops are bastards. They don't want to sit there and listen to that. They want to go and see wizards and swords and orcs and elves. They want to see space battles. Okay, they want to see warp drives, all right? They want to see superheroes punch other supervillains. That's what they want to do. They're not there for your crap. So do not inject your crap into escapism, period. Politics being injected into things can make a galaxy far, far away seem way too close to home. So don't do it. And maybe if you don't, people will actually show up to watch your stuff. That's that. Hey, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.